Today we're talking to Rhett Brown, who is our poster man at the moment for the Drake Challenge. So we're really, really pleased to find out a bit more about Rhett and his story. So, Rhett, can you tell me a little bit about who you were and what you did prior to your injury?
Certainly. Prior to my accident, I had worked in the banking sector. I had worked as a professional hunter for the New Zealand Forest Service. I had worked selling automotive spare parts. But the main passion in my life and my main career, I was a career police officer for 20 years, from 1973 till 1993. And I suffered a serious accident at work, which resulted in surgery, and I was invalided out of the police force, medically unfit. Not this accident, that's a long story.
Right.
I then had an antique furniture restoration business and retail antique, and at the same time I was, with my wife, buying, renovating and selling property and had rental properties. So I was very focused, I was very driven, I had a very full life, I was always doing something, creating something.
Right, and then how did you actually have your accident, this accident?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, in 1998 my wife and I decided to become semi-retired. We sold everything up we had where we were living in Dargaville and we shifted to Warkworth. We intended buying, selling and renovating property there. We had completed our first house, and I had a job working for a builder as a builder hammer hand labourer. And in 2004 I went to work on the 30th of April. I was standing on 2 planks on a 1-storey high small deck which was framed but didn't have a walking surface. So I was standing on 2 planks fixing building paper to the studs, and I ran out of staples. I turned around on those planks. It was my intention to walk across them, go down some wooden steps, get some staples and come back up. I turned on the planks and then I remember nothing for a few milliseconds till the next thing I remember I was falling. I landed on the ground on my head, my feet pointing straight up at the sky, my body pirouetted on my neck, I felt my neck crunch, I heard it, my body collapsed to the ground, and then tingling electrical sensation wafted down through my body from here and then down through my arms, and I knew instantly my neck was broken and I was paralysed.
So what was it like in those early months after your injury?
Well, it was extremely harrowing, life-changing. I planned my own suicide. I wanted to die, I didn't want to live. I saw myself as a vegetable. I couldn't understand who would look after me, where I would live. I couldn't think of a job that I could do. The thought of sitting in a wheelchair and just vegetating was totally unappealing for me. I was unmotivated. I was grumpy, sour. I was impolite. Probably a proper little bugger. And it took me probably a year after my accident to start coming around with the realisation that this is it, it's not going to change, you better get on with your life, Rhett. So I did. When I was discharged from the spinal unit, I lived for 2.5 years in an old people's home in Whangarei because I still needed 24/7 intensive care, and there was nowhere else to provide that until I could buy a section, build my house and shift into it. Once I did that, I became more and more motivated, and my life really turned around and I became a totally and utterly different person for the better.
Wow. And were you involved with Kaleidoscope? Or was your accident before Kaleidoscope got going?
No, my accident was, Kaleidoscope got going after my accident, and I had actually started a very fleeting career as a professional speaker for work sites, but I was just stumbling along, and I wasn't sure what direction to go, and I went to Burwood for tendon transfer surgery in my arms to make my fingers a bit more functional. And while I was there, I was put in touch with the Kaleidoscope program, and instantly they gave me a huge amount of hope, enthusiasm. They pointed me in the right direction. I went back to Whangarei. They, through ACC, provided me with a business mentor to start marketing, ideas for taking my business forward. They put me in touch with a speakers boot camp, a 3-day intensive course with international speakers, which was absolutely galvanising. And it was through them and their continued involvement that my speaking career quite quickly evolved to where it is today.
And so what do you do now?
Well, now I'm full-time, part-time professional speaker, talking to any industry where there's a propensity for a serious harm work accident. I point out to the boys and girls on site the reality of suffering a serious work-site accident, how it can change your body, how it can change your entire life, your family dynamics, your marriage, your financial situation, your mental and emotional state. They all change with a serious workplace accident. Not necessarily because you're in a chair. You may lose a leg. You may suffer terrible internal injuries. But they all have the propensity to change your life, and it can be very, very difficult to deal with. But you have to deal with it. You have to move forward. You can't stagnate.
So what type of things, apart from Kaleidoscope, assisted you to get your life back on track?
I guess it was the fact that prior to my accident, I was focused and driven and always had goals. It took me probably 4 years, even 5 years, really, to get that feeling back into my life and know fully that I could be something again. But you know, rehabilitation from a serious accident like this is totally and utterly ongoing. Every month I find I can do more. Every month I get stronger and stronger within myself. You know, breaking your neck and having your whole body messed around, it just takes a long time to recover. It really knocks you for a 6. And it just takes a long time to start building up to how you were. And for me, it's an ongoing process, even 6 years after my accident. I'm still learning things. I'm still getting stronger mentally and physically.
And so working, what does working mean to you now?
Working means everything to me. If I'm not on the road going to speak, I'm fidgety at home. I just love being on stage and on fire and talking.
So what are you doing this weekend, for example?
I'm going to Queenstown, talking to an Australasian conference of ceiling installers and wall cladders. Queenstown, 3 days, all paid for, and I have to charge a talking fee. I mean, what could be better than that? It's a wonderful lifestyle, but at the same time, that's sort of the flippant side of it. I am genuinely passionate about talking to people and just trying to raise the awareness that you don't want to have an accident at work because this is what could happen. And when it does, oh boy, you don't want to know.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, not really, but I am very, very pleased that Drake has come on board with this fundraising initiative. The New Zealand Spinal Trust runs and Kaleidoscope. They run on the sniff of an oily rag. This challenge by Drake is an absolutely marvellous thing. I'm so pleased that you're doing it, and I'm so pleased to be able to help in some way to promote it so that it goes forward is a success.
Thank you. And also, what about promoting your own business? You're available for speaking, so what are you doing?
Yes, thank you. That's really good.
Well, go.
I'm available to, as I say, any industry group where there's a health and safety issue, where awareness needs to be raised, perhaps not only in construction workers or workers on the shop floor, but within management. Because, you know, health and safety in companies is actually driven from the top, right down through the whole organisation. There needs to be a good ethos of health and safety. And if the boys on the shop floor can see that the management is serious about it, they're happy to come to work because they know they've got the right work environment, the right tools for the job, just the right environment and atmosphere. It makes them happier. I know when I used to go to work on construction sites and there wasn't proper scaffold, you'd be dreading the day's work. You go to work on a construction site where there was nice, neat, professional scaffold. Oh, it was good to go to work today, you knew you were going to be safe. So the ethos has to come from the top.